Welcome to Mamamia Out Loud, what women are actually talking about on Friday, the 24th of October. I'm Holly Wainwright.
I'm Em Vernon.
And I'm back again, Claire Murphy. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Murphy. And here's what's on our agenda for today. A day when, as we always do on Friday, we avoid news like the plague and we just kind of splash about in whatever is obsessing us at the moment. So I want to talk about cowboys and billionaires and polyamorous small town lovers.
Right up my alley.
I know. We are heading into the world of HEA, happily ever afters, and why we need them more than ever.
Plus, I am asking for a bit of advice today, what to say to the dog owner who tells you it's okay, he's friendly, when their dog is like running straight at you and you don't know what they're going to do.
Can't wait. And some of our favourite things we've listened to, talked about and read. It is our weekly recommendations. But first, we have a brand new term to obsess over, and it's come from one of our own. It's come from an out louder named Alison. Alison posted in our Facebook group, and she said, I've decided to do something I'm calling a shobby.
A shobby.
It's short for short-term hobby.
Right. So you're not
okay.
committing like gardening is my hobby now and it's my identity.
Because that's long term,
Right.
and you tell people about it. So
Too much.
she said, basically, I had the urge for absolutely no earthly reason whatsoever to learn to rap the entirety of "Lose Yourself" by Eminem by
Yes,
Christmas.
girl.
Great
Yes,
song.
do that.
Mum spaghetti.
What an excellent idea that is.
She says, it's so much fun. No one else even knows I'm doing it. This is my new shobby just for me. So before we get into it, she's also given us a list of rules for a shobby.
Okay.
Right.
She says, the shobby has to be discreet and time limited. Once it's done, it's done. No signing up for classes.
So she can't learn all the words to lose yourself and then go, you know what? Now I love that. I'm going to learn all the words to fight for your right to party.
She can't do an Eminem discography.
Okay.
She's just doing it and she's not telling anyone.
Yeah.
And it's like a little party trick she can whip up.
Right.
She said it's solely for fun, nothing earnest. You might learn something, but that's not the point. It's literally just to give yourself something interesting and entertaining to do to tickle your brain or body. Also, no accountability partners. If you don't do it or finish it, no one knows or cares. It doesn't create clutter to live in the garage. Whatever it is, you can figure it out on YouTube.
Great.
I love this. Got any shobbies, Murphy?
I feel like I had one without realising it was a shobby because I had always wanted to participate in a pub choir.
Oh, yeah. I love that
And
shit.
I did it recently and it was really fun and I never want to do it again.
Wait, what's a pub choir?
I did that once too. It's basically where it's a choir, but with drinking. So you go to a pub. I mean, you don't have to drink. It's not the rules. But you go and do it in a bar. There's a woman who's made it, a pub choir a massive thing. She's called Astrid. I don't know what her second name is. Anyway, but you can go to one. Like I went to one at my local RSL when I lived in Sydney, and they teach you a song. So it'll be Tuesday night, and they teach you a song. And they split you into groups, and everyone has a drink and sings a song. And it is very wholesome and very fun.
The beauty of it too is that if you're a bit shit, it doesn't really matter because everyone else around you is singing and kind of makes up for it.
So it's just like a big karaoke sesh.
I really like the no accountability because regular out louders will know that I came back from my holiday this year and I was like, I'm learning Italian. Yeah. Do you remember?
I do remember.
And I'm like, Duolingo became my personality for a while. Do you know how annoying those Duolingo endless freaking like remind, hey, don't break your streak, hey. And they text you and they're in the emails and the app's popping up on your phone.
They're so needy.
And I'm
so
just
needy.
like, you are annoying me out of wanting to learn Italian now.
And also with Duolingo, from what I remember when I used it briefly, is that you don't actually learn phrases that you need. It's usually stuff like, how do I buy this lamp?
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of like, the red skirts are cheaper than the black skirts. And I'm like, when would I use that?
I mean, great if you're going over as some kind of shopping adventure for a brand or store, but imagining in day-to-day life, not overly helpful. So have you stopped Duolingoing
I haven't
now?
stopped, but it's touched my inner rebel in that when those come up and they say, you're going to break your streak, there's a bit of me. Because, I'm a busy person. Yeah. That's just like, you're not the boss of me, you weird little green bird. But who cares if I break my streak? Like, I can start again tomorrow. Like,
no, but you've already told us. So now we're all asking you.
That's true.
You can't break your streak.
So fun.
It's not a shobby.
What's your shobby, Em?
My shobby is, so I have a little digicam, like a digital camera.
I've seen you taking photos in the office.
I've been taking a lot of photos on it, and I've started to create little like digital albums and sharing them with my friends and family. But now I feel like I've overcommitted to this bit that now every single time I'm going to an event, they're all like, "Where's your digital camera?"
It's the accountability.
And
we need
accountability.
the secret
It was meant to be a
private
little fun
shobbies.
thing to me, and now everyone wants my photos.
I'm going to think.
Oh,
of
stop being so good at it then.
I'll
Be a
try.
bit shitter and people won't care.
I want to talk about other people's marriages. Who doesn't?
Surprise, surprise.
Specifically, our opinions about them and how we project onto them, right? Allow me to present a Substack and subsequent piece on Mamamia that we published in the days after Victoria Beckham's Netflix documentary. And the title of this article was, "Oh, Victoria, your husband is not on your team." And it is written by Holly, no relation, Bell. Now, in it, Holly Bell wrote, "I have come here to have my say about Victoria Beckham because I am really worried about her."
Ooh.
She also wrote, "I'm here to stick my nose in where it's not required. As usual, any claims here are alleged, and this is only my point of view. Your view might be different, and that is good. Variety being the spice of life, blah, blah." Now, I want to be really clear, people in glass houses, right? There is a large part of my professional life that is all about dissecting pop culture moments about celebrities. Right?
It's our job.
It's my job, exactly. And so there's no doubt that I often veer into this kind of stuff where I'm like making a lot of presumptions about people's private lives that are absolutely none of my business. So I'm not being on a high horse about what I'm about to say.
Okay.
It's just that so many people sent me this article by Holly Bell. Like even before we published it on Mamamia when it was a Substack, people DM'd it to me. My friends texted it to me. They were all like, "Oh my God, this."
As in like you would be able, like they thought you would agree with it?
Well, that I would maybe agree with it, that I'd be really
Well, have
into
opinions
it.
about it,
Yeah,
right?
that I would
Yeah.
have thoughts. And of course,
you did.
I have thoughts.
And now we're here.
And now we're here. But I want to unpack a few of Belle's points, and then I'll talk about why it obsessed me. Right?
Okay.
So basically the premise of Holly Bell's story was that doco, when it came to Victoria and David Beckham together, was full of red flags. She said some of the red flags was a long list, but one of them was there was a scene where he's making a smoothie in the kitchen, and she says he turned the blender on every time she started speaking.
Yeah, that was funny.
I thought it was funny.
I mean, it depends, I think, on like whether he does shit like that all the time or whether that was like a hamming it up for the
Shit for the
cameras
scene.
moment.
Yeah. So Holly Bell's said about that it meant what he was insinuating, that she's less important than blended vegetables. She can't complain, or she can't take a joke. She can't stop him, or she's being the fun police. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Red flag
true.
number 1. Red flag number 2, in the infamous Rolls Royce meme, we all remember that
from the first
doco.
doco.
From the David
Beckham.
doco. When she was talking about being from a working class background, and he comes to the door and he's like, "Tell the truth,
Yeah,
tell the
be
truth."
honest.
And she's like, "My dad had a Rolls Royce." Holly Bell writes that this is him being jealous of her family's money and uncomfortable because he came from a different background.
Well, we did find out a little bit more context to that Rolls Royce thing in this documentary, because it wasn't like they lived in a palace. They lived in a rundown old place that her dad essentially put together piece by piece whilst also running his electronics business. And so he was really kind of a tradie, I guess, at the heart of it all. So he was working class. She was right.
And we went into this in detail on Out Loud. This is a complex English class system thing. See gin and Coke. Anyway, I digress. But what I see when I see that, tell the truth, the roles your dad went to school, is a couple who've had a long history and they take the piss out of the stories that everyone tells about themselves. That's what I see, right? When I see that bit, I don't see anger. I see like affection.
Okay.
And joshing. And this is what I'm getting to, right? It's like how we all see something different in the same things. And then she also says there's a red flag in that bit at the beginning where David offers Victoria a chocolate when he knows she's not going to eat a chocolate. And she says something like, "I haven't eaten chocolate since the 90s. And everyone goes, ha, ha, ha. And then later in the documentary, she talks more seriously about her issues with food and disordered eating. Holly Bell wrote, he's telling a story because he has also famously said that she won't eat what he cooks for her.
She only eats like fish and veggies.
Vegetables. He's telling this story to paint a negative picture of Victoria while gilding himself with a halo of loving to share food with his wife. She goes on to suggest that he might be Posh's ongoing trigger. That, my friends, is what we call an overstep in the analysis here. Again, what I see there is a joke, like a bit of a dangerous joke, but a joke between two people who've been together for nearly 30
something
years.
that you think he ongoingly like asks her, do you want a piece of chocolate? And the bit is she always says no.
As if she's going to have a chocolate. Do we see this picture right? The Posh doco, from my perspective, is a highly managed, highly edited documentary. And I think that what I see in it is I see the bits of their life they wanted to share, of course, and it's quite lighthearted and it's a bit of a joke. But what other people saw, what Holly Bell saw, and a lot of people who loved that story and shared it, was a marriage that had serious power dynamics. And this plays into my theory that really, when we look at celebrity relationships and we make all our assumptions about them, it's all about our experiences.
Yeah.
So if you've had a controlling partner who was, and I have in my time, but not for a long time, who, will be like, do you want a piece of chocolate? Knowing you won't have it, or teasing you about what you're eating, or like poking at a vulnerability of yours, you would probably see that scene really differently to if you're like, oh, they just, my husband or my partner or whatever takes the piss out of me about being on a diet or, growing up rich or not. You know what I mean? It's all about what you see.
And also like what you want to see. Like you kind of pick and choose how you interpret their interactions between each other. When I watched the documentary, it's interesting because I didn't see everything that Holly saw, who wrote the Substack, but I also didn't see the affection at all. What I saw was like every other Gen X relationship I've ever seen, where it's like partners who like each other but actually don't really show it out loud. And like especially that end scene where they're walking in the garden and they literally look like best friends because they're not touching each other.
They've been together for nearly 30 years.
Yeah, but like they're not like lovey-dovey, but I also don't think they hate each other. And I like, it just looks like an average relationship. Like definitely not the relationship I would want ever, but it just looks average.
Are we expecting it to look like a fairy tale because their beginnings were so fairy tale, so we expect that fairy tale to have extended for 30 years? Is that what we're hoping?
I don't think.
Well, they should look like they at least like each other.
I think they definitely look like they like each other.
I
think they look like they like each other a lot. But do you think, Murphy, that one of the reasons we're so obsessed with other people's marriages, like whether they're celebrities or people we sort of know by, oh, look at that couple over there, they're not talking over dinner, or look at those people over there, look at how he didn't put his hand, pull a chair out, or whatever it is, because we're kind of Rorschach testing things. You're like, we see what we see according to our own experiences.
I think that is absolutely bang on, because I would actually hate for cameras to come in and record what Adam and I, my husband and I, say to each other sometimes, because we are constantly taking the piss out of each other in ways that require some lore to be learned before you can participate. And so they, looking in at us, might think we are absolute assholes to each other, but the reality is that's a long history of funny things that we've collected over the years and we internally find hilarious. But people looking in would be like, oh my God, do you guys even like each other?
Yeah.
Whereas like we go to bed at night laughing at other people who might think that we don't like each other, if you know what I mean. So like I felt that a little bit from Posh and Bex. I also feel like they've never had an opportunity to just kind of to like settle and not put on a show. Like their entire lives essentially have been showmanship, from her, from him, from both of them together. Now they're family, because as you've probably mentioned that, there's some family members that do not rate a mention during the recording of Victoria Beckham. And so like their whole life is a show. So maybe they just don't put on the PDAs. Although the one thing I did find a little bit uncomfortable is that Victoria seemed outwardly affectionate to him and he didn't seem to return it very often. And I think that is, when you mention Gen X couples, Em, I think that is sometimes a bit of an MO for Gen X couples, where men are supposed to kind of be this unemotional sort of flat line when it comes to certain things. But when they talk about, say, cars or football, or in, Beckham's case, his food, they're allowed to be emotional and passionate about that. But when it comes, the garden, like the chickens, whatever, he seems very excited by.
He loves the garden so much.
Are there any celebrity relationships? I mean, I know you're probably too sensible for this, Murph, but I might be wrong. And I know Em's got some good examples. But are there any celebrity relationships that you do look at and either go, I want to emulate that, or I feel that, so and do that Rorschach testing stuff on?
I think Naomi Watts and her husband Billy Crudup. I think I look at them, but they are like married later in life couple, which is really different from, say, Hugh Jackman and Deborah Lee Furness, who got married quite young, and then we've seen them kind of progress out of love. And so I felt like we held up some of these couples and thought, like, if they fail, then surely I can't not fail too, because they've got presented this fairy tale ideal of what marriage looks like to the outset. And we saw this with Nicole and Keith too. And something someone said to me a little while ago is, I used to get really upset that my husband doesn't post stuff about us on social media. In fact, he doesn't post anything. But I was upset that not even a happy birthday, not even a look at this woman on my wedding anniversary, nothing, right? And then a friend said to me, look, it is often a measure of an insecure relationship if there's too much posting on social media. And I looked into it a little bit, and there is a lot of research around that, and that we saw Nicole quite regularly posting lovey-dovey stuff about Keith, and he's kind of he'll chuck an emoji in every now and then, so less kind of, reaction from him. And so was that her trying to cover up the fact that she was really insecure in her relationship? So yes, I've held up some of these marriages over time and gone I would love to be like that, I would love to be like that. But then eventually you kind of look at them and you go, actually we're all kind of similar, except I have less outward pressure from
money,
people.
Probably.
And way less money. And, no one's stalking me outside my front door.
Em, are there celebrity couples that you go, that's what I want?
Oh, my God. Okay. I need to talk about Dua Lipa and Callum Turner. Have you guys seen photos?
I was hearing
videos
about them today, in fact, that they allegedly met and were sitting next to each other at a party, and they realised they were reading the same book and they were on the same page.
Yeah.
And that's why they fell in love. And I was like, that and that you're the two hottest people at that party by about 1,000,000 miles.
I'm Googling them right now. I need to see images
They're
of them
very
together.
PDA.
I do not believe that meet cute story, although
it's very cute.
It does sound
and
really
also
nice.
It plays into something we've discussed before, Em, which is there's nothing hotter than a man who reads.
Yes,
so if
he's doing all the right
If that's a true story, then good for him. And if it's not a true story, then good for him for being smart enough, because everyone knows Dua Lipa likes to read. She has a book club.
She loves to
Anyway,
read.
I digress. Go, Em.
These two extremely attractive people, when they are together, it's I don't think they're allowed to not touch each other. He's always has his hands around her hips. They're always giggling. They're always making out. They're always laughing into each other's mouths. It is I can't look away. It is. No, it is.
I love that Murphy just said.
It's so beautiful. And similar to your sad Gen X celebrity relationships, they're the relationship that I feel like younger women are holding on to, and they're telling us that's exactly how relationships should be.
But and I hate to be this person, but I've got to be this person. Do you think they're going to be doing exactly that in 20 years? If they stay together for 20 years, go through a whole lot of shit.
Oh, my God. If they're laughing into each other's mouths in 20 years' time, no.
You have to have you have to have respect for the fact that love changes and grows and doesn't look the same all the time, but is still a real thing.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So again, I think that they're a wonderful Rorschach.
He loves her loudly.
You want someone to fall in love with you like that, to be so proud of you like that, to find you irresistible like that. But you've got to acknowledge they're in a honeymoon phase.
No. This is them. This is them forever. He loves her loudly.
Do you know very many grown-up couples with children who still do that?
Well, no, because I know. I have a lot of friends who are like that. I mean,
but have they been together 20 years?
No. But it's just he loves her loudly, and he's nonchalant. He made me realize I never want a nonchalant man. I want my man to be as chalant as possible.
I want to talk about romance, specifically romance books.
Ooh.
Yay!
Murphy, you love them, right? So I have the right company for this conversation.
100%. I could talk about it all day long.
Which is good, because one thing we have learned on this show before is that romance book lovers are very passionate and they will get very upset if you do them wrong. But I am not intending to do anyone wrong, right? I went to a romance writing masterclass on the weekend.
Ooh.
Oh.
I know, right?
That's quite sexy.
So I went.
Am I going to be reading a book by you soon, Holly Wayne?
Are we going to get a smutty novel from you?
I'm not. Look, don't worry, romance writers. I am not trying to muscle my way into your genre. But the book I am writing at the minute does have like a love story in it, and it's really hard to write. So I was like, let's find out what the experts know about this shit. So I went to a masterclass. It was run by this really successful Australian romance writer called Claire Connolly.
Oh, she does a lot of the Billionaire books.
Yes,
they're great.
she does, right? And I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since, because this is like an entire world that I didn't really know about. And I just want to give you a few facts before we jump into why, because I know Murphy will be able to tell us exactly why, right? One of the reasons why I found this so fascinating is I haven't been able to stop thinking about what it tells us about women, and also about the books that we definitely do not read about in all the swanky literary pages of the broadsheet newspapers are selling their freaking socks off, right? According to Nielsen Bookscan Australia, 3 million romance books valued at 46.5 million sold in the last year, in 2024.
Wow.
And the thing is about that number is that does not include audio or ebooks. And so much romance is read on ebooks. So imagine what
it's
that
physical
actually
books.
is, right?
Wow.
Imagine what that number actually is. It's a genre that is up by 49% in Australia alone, 49%, when the rest of the market is quite
That's
flat,
huge.
right? So there is clearly a bottomless desire for these books. And I want to talk about the kind of books we're talking about. I'm talking not necessarily about romantasy, although that does fall into this. And obviously that is responsible for a lot of this big boost and all the attention that it's brought with it, and TikTok and all those kind of things are responsible for it too. But a traditional romance novel, to be classified as a romance novel, has to have one thing, and it has to have a happy ending. That is non-negotiable. It has to have an HEA, a happily ever after, right?
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed with this information because it makes perfect sense when you think about it. I was watching Brené Brown this week on Talking to Fortune Mag, and she was talking about the climate. And I don't think this will be news to anyone. She said people are not okay in general. People are emotionally dysregulated, distrustful, and disconnected. And so what do they want? They want not predictable is the wrong word, something they can count on, something reliable, something that they know is going to work out. Murphy, is that part of why you love romance?
Absolutely. And you can even say predictable, because that is part of it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these books are written to a formula where you kind of know that even though, you know, the main male character and the main female character have fallen out and are fighting, you know they're going to get back together, and you know that they're going to end in a way that's going to be very satisfying to you. And I think the thing about romance, or in my particular special interest, romantasy, it's about also exploring your own fantasies, whether that be romance, sexual, like there's so many different genres within the genre that you can find your niche and explore your own sexuality through that. You can, you know, live your life in a world where, you know, you might never do things in reality, but you can experience them through the experiences of the characters in these books. And I may never recreate any of that in my real world, unless we do find out eventually that men with pointy ears and magic powers and wings really exist. But like, it allows my imagination to like fuel my libido, whilst also giving me that escape from the real world. And my real world, because I do, you know, contribute to a news podcast and a women's health podcast, like a lot of it's not great news. And so for me to sit down with a romance book and have that predictable storyline come out, and yes, happy ending, but that doesn't necessarily mean of every book, because there are series where the happy ending doesn't come until 5 books later. But there is something about that predictability of a storyline that allows my brain to be calm, and it allows me to understand that even though there is tension throughout some of it, that tension is going to go away eventually. So like, it is such a lovely experience to go through these tales with all these different characters, and they come out the other side. And it has real world implications. There's been research into women reading romance books and it having positive impacts on the relationships they have with their partners in the real world. It's helped women with libido issues. It's also an ability for women to take a moment for themselves when they're very heavily lifting the mental load. You know, it's predictable. and comforting while also being sexy as hell, and there is nothing wrong with that.
I want to ask you, Em, right, because one of the things I learned about when I was in my masterclass, my romance writing masterclass, is that there are established tropes, and in this instance, that is an insulting word, the tropes, like enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, fake dating, forced proximity. And those niches people will read deeply in. So it might be that you love enemies to lovers. So you'll read all enemies to lovers books. And then equally, the settings are also very deep niches. So you might just like cowboys or cowgirls, or you might like
figure skaters.
Yeah, exactly. Or polyamorous, country threesomes. And they were saying there's closed door sex scenes, which means the bedroom door closes before you see the sex. Open door, which means the sex is explored.
Oh.
There's quite a big conservative romance streak now where there is no sex at all. There's just, sort of polite hand-holding-y stuff and sexual tension. Are you a cowboy girl or a billionaire girl?
Oh, that's such a good question. I feel like I've only recently, like probably in the last year or so, got into romance, because when I started reading romance when I was younger, it was very different. Like I think the first romance novels I read when I was about like 10 or 11 were the Twilight series. And like they all were quite like similar. Like it was all about like a petite, fragile girl who flew away in the wind because she was so small.
Right.
And her boyfriend was like tall and muscly, and he has abandonment issues since his dog died when he was 12, but only she could help him figure that out. And I was like, this is kind of weird. Like they're all kind of doing this. It's a bit weird. And it was only when I got older, and my sister, I have to talk about her because she is she has a bookstagram.
Yeah.
She reads about probably 4 books a week. She is obsessed.
I'm so encouraged by how much all the young women I know read.
And it's all romance. And it's like she loves all romance books. And I feel like especially with younger women, when they find a romance author they love, they'll read everything that author's written.
And these women are hardworking and prolific.
Yeah.
Claire Connolly was telling me she writes so many books a year. She just absolutely works at it like a queen.
Yeah,
so
because the girls are demanding it.
They are.
Like Emily Henry, like I probably read all of her books, and now she's having
a
like
big deal at the
different
moment.
movies for all of her books. It's like, and it's similar. Like there's like so many different tropes, and it's like they churn through them, like they go through all of them, and you know exactly what's going to happen, and you can't wait to find out at the same time, and you're just so invested. And it's like what you said, Murph. It's such a good escapism, but at the same time, I do realize it does have an impact on my dating life, like as a single person. Like there have been times where I've literally just quit dating just because I'm so invested into these books, and I've realized I'll never get that out
your needs met
I'm
elsewhere.
getting my needs met
Both
elsewhere.
romantic and otherwise. Generally with culture, I don't like knowing the ending. Like if I can pick the ending at the beginning of a TV show, say, or a TV series, then I often I hate that. I like the
Tuned out
surprise.
already?
I like a surprise. But the thing that interests me about just how popular happy endings are is that clearly that isn't true. It's just like we just don't want any more things to worry about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's nice when I read romance, I'm usually able to read them in a few days, because even when there's like a tiff or a fight or that big like climax moment when nothing's going right, you never feel like you're in danger. You always feel safe throughout that whole book because you know they're going to come around. And I think,
and this is the thing too, is because these are tales written about women by women.
yeah.
And you can absolutely tell, and there's a big section of TikTok which compares how men write women as opposed to how women write women.
Her supple, tender
And-
breasts. We don't see any of that anymore.
Her breasts were quivering in anticipation. Like it's being written by women is so different. And you're right, Em, in that it feels like a safe space. Like it doesn't matter what's really happening in the storyline. You know that author is taking care of you and will actually deliver to you what you need by the end of it. It's really beautifully written women.
That's what Rachel Johns, who's another romance writer who I was talking to at the weekend, said. She said, I want people to know that it's not all heaving bosoms anymore, and throbbing members. Like there's a lot more variety than that. But one of the things I did ask
Throbbing
Claire
members.
Connolly, because as you said, Murph, she specializes in Billionaires. And I was like, is Elon Musk really damaging that franchise? Because everybody fell for that 50 Shades. Oh, and he just happens
Christian
to be the
Grey.
richest man alive, as well as really hot. And
Oh my God. That book, when I was in high school, I remember we just had a PDF that would get passed around on a USB to all the girls.
What?
like a
Like
secret
It was
vein.
porn.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Out Louders, we're going to put a link in the show notes to Claire Connolly, who's the writer whose masterclass I did. It's really, I found it so eye-opening. Tell us if you love romance. We want to know.
Can I leave on one last point? Because last time I was on, I mentioned some recommendations for romance books.
Give us some
and
gateways.
People gave me some really great recommendations. I've read the Plated Prisoner series. Thank you to everyone who recommended that to me. That was fabulous. I also want to do a shout out to Shield of Sparrows, which is a gorgeous book by Devney Perry. I only have the review copy of this. This is not the actual cover of Diabound, but this is one of the best books I've read in the longest time. It's by Sable Sorensen. And just a heads up for Callie Hart fans, the sequel to Quicksilver is out next month and we're all gagging together.
Are these all romantasy category? Is that what we'd call it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is like strong female characters with super hot boys, and there's often like wolves or magic, or in this case, dragons for Wings of Blood, which is what I'm currently reading. And inside of that, and this is another thing I think we haven't taken into account, is all the merch that now comes with romantasy books, because I have a Fourth Wing bookmark.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Calm down, Em. Calm down, my friend.
It is recommendations time. Holly, do you want to take it away?
I do. I know that Claire is going to be recommending a couple of podcasts. And I was going to recommend one and I'm not now, but I've just got to put in one quick mention.
Okay.
For one of my Gen X queens, Jennifer Aniston. She's on Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert this week.
I saw some clips of her on socials.
The thing that's very exciting for Aniston stands about this is she's never done a long form. I've never seen her do a long form interview. It's just not what she does, right? And obviously I've listened to it all and obviously it's great. She's very warm and funny. There's no like bombshells. It's not like she's like, so one day Brad Pitt came home and it's not like that. Damn it. Because she's kind of in a safe space, I guess, with her mate Dax and Monica. But anyway, it's really, I loved it. I just loved hanging out with her for an hour. And there were a couple of really interesting things. She talked about why she'd never adopted a kid. That was really interesting. But that's a quick, just for any Gen Xers out there who do love the Aniston, getting to hear her talk. I hope she's going to feel like she can do that a bit more. But my actual one is my best friend in the world at the moment, concealer. A particular concealer.
Ooh.
Jessie's been doing some makeup reccos lately, and I have recommended before a really good, affordable concealer by this brand called Revolution. I can't find it anywhere, and I don't think it's because of my recommendation, but I think it's sold out. I think it's because Lee Campbell recommended it, right?
Oh,
so
damn it.
Anytime I walk into a Priceline, I go and look for it, and I can't find it. So I've had to replace it. As Out Louders know, I don't mind a bit of a spenny beauty thing. Sometimes it's a little treat, but I don't like spending lots of money on concealer, and my experience tells me that often the more expensive ones don't work as well. Like I've got to be really careful with concealer because, well, I don't have to be careful. That's an overstatement. Like a lot of concealers get cakey, the ones with really good coverage.
Yeah. I get that as well.
That's why I'm so scared of concealer because of that.
Yeah. So I always go for the serum-y, almost runny ones
that are kind of like foundation.
Yeah, but some of them are too runny. Like I've got Trini's one is too runny. I used to use that, but it's too runny. It's no good.
Oh my
anyway,
God.
so
this is
let me just tell you, because this is not revolutionary, but it is an affordable chemist one that is rocking my world at the minute, which is just the L'Oreal True Match Radiant Serum Concealer.
I 100% agree with you on this. It's so good.
And they have so many shades.
Yeah.
And right now it's $15. It's
so
15 bloody bucks in Priceline. And I've been really tired lately. I haven't been sleeping great. I'm sure it's something hormonal, blah, blah, blah. So I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my God, especially when we're filming. I'm like, oh my God, concealer. And it's just the right amount of runny for me. Like it doesn't settle in my lines, but it gives good coverage. Yeah. It's glowy and you can find it and it's cheap.
It lasts all day. I actually have two. I have one for my under eyes because my under eyes, I need a lighter shade because they're quite dark. But then I have one that's actually my skin color and I use it sometimes as foundation for my blemishes.
L'Oreal True Match Radiant Serum Concealer. It kicks.
Claire, what do you have today?
As Holly mentioned, I've got a couple of podcasts and I'm going to be a slightly indulgent one today because they're both podcasts that I make.
Oh, so go on. Give yourself some flowers, Claire Murphy.
I am going to. Thank you, Miley. I am currently filling in on True Crime Conversations because our regular host, Gemma Bath, went off and had a baby. So her maternity leave I've been covering for the past few months. And we have got a couple of really cracker interviews coming up. If you love true crime, yesterday we dropped an episode with Harold Schechter and he is the absolute foremost expert in Ed Gein. And if you've been watching Ryan Murphy's Monsters,
I have.
the third series on Ed Gein, he has a lot of things to say.
Is this a serial
about-
killer guy?
Yeah.
He's not a serial killer, Holly.
No, your guest isn't, but the monsters, Ed
No,
Gein.
Ed Gein is also
He was
not
alleged.
a serial killer. So that is part of the problem that Harold Schechter has with Ryan Murphy's depiction of Ed Gein, because he claims quite a high percentage of that story is untrue, which is wild. The other one coming up next week is one that I feel like I've prepared my entire life to do. I'm sitting down with Kathleen Folby.
Oh my God! Wow, I would love to hear that.
I'm so honoured that she has agreed to come on True Crime Conversations to talk about her experience. If you're unaware of Kathleen's story, she lost 4 children over the early to late 90s, and she was jailed because she was found guilty of their murder. And it turns out that there was a DNA issue that could have meant there was a very reasonable explanation for the deaths of those 4 babies. So she is now free. She's going to be joining me with her friend Tracy, who's been literally at her side this entire time. And so I'm really excited. That's coming next week. So 2 episodes. Ed Gein, if you're watching Monsters, that's already live. Go check it out. And next week, Kathleen Folbig on True Crime Conversations. Thank you.
Claire.
That is me just advertising myself today.
How exciting. Okay, my recommendation, I'm actually so excited to have this recommendation.
Okay.
It is a Substack post. It's written by an alias named Father Karen or Father Kareen. She's an anonymous writer, and this post is titled, "An Open Letter to My Dog Who, if I'm being honest, low-key kind of sucks." It is one of the funniest things I've read in a really, really long time. And as writers, you know, it's really hard to be funny in writing.
Funny.
I was reading this while I was walking to work, and I was cackling on the sidewalk. The city people thought I was insane. It is so funny. It's basically, she talks about being this young girl, and she lives in New York City. She adopts a dog. It has all of this past trauma, and it's actually a really, really hard dog to look after. And the letter is to her dog and saying how much she loves her dog deeply, but also going into all of these things that the dog does in its life. I want to read this little snippet out. It says, "One day while paying my dog walking bill online, I saw a notes section on your profile. I clicked on it and it said, 'Be careful, will confront large men,' which is how I found out you were a radical feminist." It is so
Like Sydney. Sydney's a radical
funny.
feminist.
She's a radical feminist.
She is.
Oh my God.
didn't
I
know
think
that
you'd
about her.
really enjoy it. It's really, really funny. We'll put a link to it in our show notes.
I love that. It reminds me of rescue shelters who like truthfully advertise some of the dogs. And they've been like, this guy's just an asshole. He will chew everything you own and will probably run away. But like, please adopt him.
He's so
Like,
cute.
That's so fun.
Oh, bless. A massive thank you, Out Louders, for being with us through our Friday show and all week. And of course to you, Claire Murphy, who've been filling in for Jessie Stevens all week and doing a bloody stellar job. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's always fun to step in and have a wee chat with you guys.
Claire and Em, thank our team.
A big thank you to our full team, our group executive producer, Ruth Devine, and our executive producer, Sasha Tanik.
Our senior audio producer is the gorgeous Leah Porges, who does wear a good power suit. You should check her out. Our video producer, Josh Green, and our junior content producers are Coco and Tessa.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.